The interstellar delegation from the Federation of Xylar arrived in the Sol system with a flourish that dazzled even the seasoned members of Earth's diplomatic corps. Their vessel, a vast, shimmering craft that resembled a silver teardrop suspended in the blackness of space, glided smoothly into Earth's orbit, its surface reflecting starlight like liquid metal. Humanity, though accustomed to visits from extraterrestrial species, paused to marvel at the Xylaran's dramatic flair. They were known across the galaxy as skilled diplomats, masters of etiquette, and above all, unparalleled connoisseurs of cuisine. On this particular visit, 2 Xylaran diplomats led the charge. Kirova, a lithe figure with iridescent skin that caught and refracted even the dimmest light, moved with a measured grace that hinted at her high status. Her cobalt blue eyes, which glowed softly with an inner luminescence, rarely missed a detail. Beside her stood Merrick, a broader and more imposing presence. His pale skin was etched with intricate silver lines, a mark of wisdom among their people, and his deep voice carried the weight of centuries of experience. Together they presented a striking combination of elegance and gravitas. Awaiting them on Earth's surface was Simon Briggs, Earth's appointed ambassador, and a man as famous for his unshakable poise as for his peculiar taste in attire. Today was no exception. He greeted the Xylarans with a wide grin, dressed in a charcoal gray suit accented by a flash of neon green socks. If the sight struck the Xylarans as odd, they were far too polite to say so. "Welcome back to Earth," Simon said warmly, extending a hand. His voice was rich with practiced confidence, but the spark of genuine enthusiasm in his eyes revealed a man who truly enjoyed his role as humanity's ambassador to the stars. "How can we dazzle you this time?" Kirova tilted her head, the slight shift hinting at curiosity tinged with bemusement. "Ambassador Briggs." She began, her melodic voice carrying a hint of intrigue. "In our continued studies of human culture, we have encountered certain puzzling behaviors. One, in particular, merits deeper inquiry." Simon's interest piqued immediately. "I'm all ears." Merrick stepped forward, his broad shoulders casting a shadow across the landing pad. "We have observed that your species engages in the hunting, preparation, and consumption of dangerous apex predators. This behavior appears excessive, illogical even." "Excessive," Simon echoed, an amused glint in his eyes. "You could call it that, but it's a bit more complicated than just chasing the biggest beasts out there. There's history behind it, tradition, a touch of danger, and sometimes a really good marinade." Kirova's glowing eyes narrowed as she considered his words. "We would like to understand," she said, her tone a mix of earnestness and suspicion. "Our culture respects apex creatures from a distance. To risk one's life merely to consume them suggests either bravery or folly. We wish to see which it is." Simon's smile widened. "Then it's settled. I'll show you what it's all about. But be warned, understanding human traditions can be a wild ride." The first destination on their culinary journey was a secluded lakeside village in Earth's tropics. Nestled amid swaying palms and shimmering waters, the village had a long tradition of hunting crocodiles, an ancient practice born out of necessity and refined over generations. The Xylarans watched in silent fascination as their transport descended, the tranquil beauty of the place a stark contrast to the danger that lurked beneath its surface. Simon, sensing their unease, leaned in. "Crocodiles have survived for millions of years. They're living fossils, powerful, dangerous, and cunning. For many cultures, hunting one isn't just about food. It's a test of skill, respect, and courage." Merrick's expression darkened, his luminous eyes flicking toward the murky water. "You willingly seek out creatures that can end your lives." "Sometimes," Simon said, shrugging. "But it's about more than just survival. It's about facing what terrifies us, learning to understand it, and if we're lucky, making a great meal out of it." With that, the group set off into the wetlands, guided by experienced crocodile hunters. The Xylarans, dressed in practical Earth attire, moved awkwardly through the thick underbrush. Their opalescent skin shimmered in the dappled sunlight, making them look like specters lost in a dream. Every snapped twig and distant splash set their nerves on edge, and it wasn't long before Kirova broke the silence. "Why not synthesize meat that resembles this creature?" she asked, her voice tight with tension. "Surely that would be safer." "You're not wrong," Simon admitted, sidestepping a cluster of vines. "But it's not the same. The act of hunting, of preparing what you catch, it changes how you see it. There's respect in the struggle. The Xylarans fell silent, pondering this new perspective. Their musings were cut short by the sight of a massive crocodile gliding silently through the water, its ancient eyes scanning the surface. Time seemed to freeze. The humans moved quickly, whispering commands and positioning themselves with precision honed over generations. The Xylarans, meanwhile, stood rooted in place, their breath caught in their throats. Simon noticed their paralysis and offered a reassuring nod. "Stay close. You're about to see why we do this." The ensuing battle was swift, brutal, and strangely mesmerizing. The crocodile thrashed with primal fury, its jaws snapping with bone-crushing force. The humans responded with calm coordination, their movements a blend of respect and determination. For every roar of defiance from the beast, there was a counter calculated, practiced, and deeply rooted in tradition. When the struggle ended, the crocodile lay still, its formidable presence now tempered by a quiet solemnity. Kirova stepped closer, her heart pounding in her chest. "You risked everything. For this." Simon nodded, his expression serious. "We honor what we hunt. This isn't about dominance, it's about respect, courage, and the connections we forge in the process." Back at the village, the cooking began. The crocodile meat was seasoned with a blend of fragrant herbs and spices, its preparation treated as both art and ritual. As the rich aroma filled the air, the Xylarans found themselves drawn in, their initial fear giving way to curiosity. When the first bite was offered, Merrick hesitated, then accepted. His eyes widened as he savored the flavor, savory, complex, and unlike anything he had ever tasted. "It is extraordinary," he murmured. "But how can something born of such danger become this?" "That's the point," Simon said, his voice warm with pride. "We take what's wild, what scares us, and we turn it into something we can share. It's how we make sense of a chaotic world." Kirova nodded slowly, beginning to grasp the depth of the human tradition. You conquer not just the creature, but the fear it inspires. "Exactly," Simon agreed. "And sometimes it tastes pretty great too." As the sun set over the lake, casting a golden glow over the water, the Xylarans sat with their human hosts, reflecting on what they had witnessed. In consuming the dangerous, humans found meaning, connection, and even joy. For Kirova and Merrick, it was a revelation that would linger long after the taste of crocodile had faded. This was only the beginning of their journey, one that would challenge their beliefs, test their courage, and forever change how they saw the universe. The Xylarans awoke to the sounds of the tropical forest, a symphony of rustling leaves, distant bird calls, and the soft murmur of water lapping against the shore. The previous day's experience had left them exhausted, but energized in ways they couldn't quite understand. For a species so accustomed to controlled environments, the unpredictable nature of Earth was at once thrilling and unnerving. Kirova stretched, her opalescent skin catching the early morning light. "That was unlike anything I have ever experienced," she said, her voice tinged with awe. "Do all humans embrace such danger?" Simon, who was stirring a pot of strong-smelling coffee over a fire, chuckled. "Not all, but enough of us do. For some, it's about the challenge. For others, it's tradition or survival. And for some," he said, taking a sip, "it's just a good way to feel alive." Merrick, who had been examining the dense foliage with wary eyes, stepped closer. "You mentioned that this was only one example of your predator cooking traditions. What other challenges do humans face in their quest for cuisine?" Simon's face lit up, a mixture of pride and anticipation. "I'm glad you asked. Next, we're going to take you into the heart of the wilderness to track and prepare a wild boar." The Xylarans exchanged glances. They had read about wild boars, creatures known for their strength, speed, and aggressive temperament. It seemed absurd to willingly seek one out, but the thrill of understanding human customs overpowered their apprehension. The journey to the boar's habitat was rugged and demanding. Thick forest canopy stretched overhead, casting dappled shadows on the ground below. The air was rich with the scent of damp earth and flowering plants. Simon led the way, accompanied by a team of skilled trackers who moved silently, their eyes scanning the ground for signs of their elusive prey. Kirova and Merrick followed, their movements more cautious and their senses on high alert. As they walked, Simon explained the significance of the hunt. Wild boars are more than just prey. They've been hunted by humans for thousands of years, and in many cultures they symbolize strength, resilience, and even defiance. Defiance? Kirova asked, sidestepping a tangled vine. Simon nodded. They're clever, tough, and fiercely protective. You don't just hunt a boar, you earn its respect, and that respect carries over to the meal itself. The Xylarans absorbed his words, their understanding of human traditions deepening with each passing moment. But their musings were cut short when one of the trackers signaled for silence. He pointed to a patch of freshly disturbed earth boar tracks, leading deeper into the forest. The group moved carefully, their every step measured. The tension was palpable. For the Xylarans, who relied heavily on structure and predictability, this uncertainty was both exhilarating and terrifying. Every rustle of leaves, every distant grunt set their hearts pounding. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl reverberated through the trees. Before they could react, an enormous wild boar burst from the underbrush, a hulking mass of muscle and fur with curved tusks that glinted like ivory. It charged, its eyes blazing with primal fury. "Stay calm," Simon shouted, positioning himself with practiced ease. The human trackers spread out, working together to corral the beast. The Xylarans, however, stood frozen, torn between the urge to flee and the desire to understand what drove humans to face such dangers. The boar's charge was relentless. Simon dodged, narrowly avoiding its tusks, and guided it toward a trap laid by the team. The Xylarans watched, breathless, as the humans displayed a blend of strategy, skill, and courage that left them both impressed and bewildered. The struggle was intense, but eventually, the boar was subdued. As silence fell over the forest once more, Merrick exhaled shakily. "You truly face such beasts, willingly." Simon's chest heaved with exertion, but his smile was unshaken. "It's not about defeating the beast," he said. "It's about confronting the fear, the unpredictability, and finding meaning in the struggle." Kirova stepped closer to the fallen boar, her eyes filled with a mix of respect and curiosity. "And now, you prepare it." "Exactly," Simon said, signaling for the team to begin the process. Back at the camp, the preparation of the boar was treated with reverence. The meat was marinated in a blend of spices and herbs, some of which were unfamiliar to the Xylarans but tantalizingly aromatic. The process was slow, methodical, and collaborative. Simon involved the Xylarans at every step, explaining the significance of each seasoning, each technique. For the Xylarans, it was a revelation the act of preparing food was as important, if not more so, than consuming it. When the meat was finally ready, they gathered around the fire. The first bite was offered to Merrick, who accepted it with a solemn nod. The flavor was rich, smoky, and deeply satisfying, a testament to the effort and courage that had gone into its preparation. Kirova followed suit, her expression one of surprise and delight. "It is more than nourishment," she said, savoring the taste. "It is a symbol, a bond forged through shared struggle." Simon raised his cup in a silent toast, to facing fears and finding meaning. The night deepened, and the Xylarans found themselves reflecting on the day's events. For a species that valued predictability and safety, the human approach to life, to seeking out and confronting danger, was both perplexing and inspiring. They began to see that there was strength, even beauty, in embracing the unknown. Merrick, who had been quiet for much of the meal, finally spoke. "I think I am beginning to understand. To you humans, it is not simply about hunting. It is about transforming danger into something meaningful, something to be shared." Simon nodded, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "Exactly. We turn fear into connection, challenge into growth." Kirova looked out at the darkened forest, where unseen creatures still lurked. "We have much to learn from each other," she said quietly. "Perhaps there is more to living than simply surviving." The fire crackled, and for a moment there was only the sound of laughter, the sharing of stories, and the warmth of a bond forged through danger, courage, and understanding. For the Xylarans, it was a moment they would carry with them, a reminder that there was strength to be found in facing the unknown, and joy in sharing the journey. The sun rose gently over the horizon, casting its golden light across the restless waves of Earth's vast ocean. The Xylarans, Kirova, and Merrick stood on the deck of a fishing vessel that rocked beneath their feet. They were a species accustomed to solid ground and controlled environments. The endless expanse of water was both mesmerizing and deeply unsettling. Simon Briggs, ever their enthusiastic guide into the chaos of human traditions, stood beside them, his face aglow with excitement. "You've seen how we handle predators on land," Simon said, his voice carrying over the sound of crashing waves. "Now it's time to show you what we do out here. Today we're going after one of the ocean's fiercest apex predators, a shark." Kirova's cobalt blue eyes widened. "Shark," she repeated, incredulity clear in her voice. "You mean the aquatic predators with rows of serrated teeth capable of crushing bone? Your people willingly seek out such creatures." "Not everyone," Simon admitted with a laugh. "But those who do are driven by respect, tradition, and a healthy dose of insanity. Trust me, you'll see why." Merrick, his broad frame swaying slightly with the motion of the ship, spoke up. "This is a test of courage, is it not? A ritual of facing the unknown depths." Simon's eyes sparkled with approval. "You're catching on." The crew, a group of seasoned fisherfolk with weathered faces and steady hands, prepared for the expedition. They worked in practiced silence, checking lines, bait, and hooks specifically designed for large predators. The Xylarans watched closely, their fascination tempered by trepidation. The sea, with its ever-changing moods and hidden dangers, was unlike anything they had ever encountered. As the boat moved farther from shore, Simon took a moment to explain. Humans have always been drawn to the ocean. It's vast, unpredictable, and humbling. Hunting a shark isn't just about the catch, it's about facing the power of the sea itself. The Xylarans listened intently. In their culture, the unknown was something to be controlled, catalogued, and, whenever possible, avoided. But here, humans embraced it, seeking out danger with a mix of reverence and thrill. Hours passed as they drifted on the open water, scanning for any sign of movement beneath the waves. The weight was tense, and every ripple, every shadow, sent a jolt of anticipation through the group. Kirova found herself gripping the railing, her six-fingered hands tight with both fear and excitement. For all her training as a diplomat, nothing had prepared her for this. Then, it happened, a flash of gray, a ripple that became a surge of motion. A massive shark broke the surface, its dorsal fins slicing through the water like a knife. It circled the boat, drawn by the scent of bait. The crew sprang into action, their movements precise and calm. The Xylarans, on the other hand, felt their hearts race. "It's magnificent," Kirova whispered, her voice a mix of awe and terror. Simon nodded. "It is, and it demands respect." The shark lunged, its powerful body propelling it through the water with terrifying speed. The crew worked in unison, carefully controlling the tension on the line and guiding the beast away from the boat's hull. Simon's eyes never left the creature, his expression one of focused determination. To the Xylarans, it was as if he were locked in a dance with the sea itself. Eric, despite his fear, moved closer. "What happens if it wins?" "Then we try again another day," Simon said, his voice strained but steady. "But today, we give it everything we've got." The struggle lasted for what felt like hours. The shark thrashed and twisted, its strength evident in every movement. There were moments when it seemed as though the creature might break free, dragging the line and perhaps the entire crew into the depths. But gradually, through a combination of skill, patience, and raw determination, the shark was subdued. It lay alongside the boat, its great body heaving with exhaustion. There was no triumphant cheer, no gloating. The crew's expressions were somber, their respect for the creature evident. Simon placed a hand on the shark's rough skin, his voice low and reverent. "We do not take this lightly." Kirova and Merrick stepped forward, their initial fear replaced by a deep sense of respect. In that moment, they understood this was not about conquest or domination. It was about facing the raw, untamed power of nature and finding a place within it. Back on shore, the preparation of the shark's meat began. The Xylarans, now familiar with the human approach to cooking apex predators, watched with a newfound sense of reverence. The process was meticulous. The meat was marinated in a mixture of citrus, herbs, and spices, a blend designed to honor the creature's strength and provide a meal that was both nourishing and symbolic. As the aroma filled the air, Simon invited the Xylarans to participate. "This isn't just about eating," he explained. "It's about sharing what we've earned, reflecting on what it took to get here." Kirova nodded, her hands steady as she helped prepare the dish. "You turn danger into ritual, chaos into meaning." Simon smiled. "That's the idea." When the meal was finally ready, they gathered around a fire on the beach, the sound of waves providing a rhythmic backdrop. The first bite was shared in silence, a moment of reflection, respect, and connection. The meat was tender, flavorful, and carried with it the weight of their shared struggle. Merrick, who had been deep in thought, finally spoke. "You humans find meaning in facing what we would flee. You seek out danger not to conquer it, but to understand it." Simon nodded. "And to remind ourselves that we're alive. Every challenge is a chance to grow, to connect." Kirova gazed out at the darkened ocean, her expression contemplative. "Perhaps there is wisdom in your chaos, strength in embracing what we fear." The night wore on, filled with laughter, stories, and the warmth of a bond forged through danger and respect. For the Xylarans, this journey had become more than a study of human customs. It was a journey into their own understanding of life, courage, and connection. As the fire burned low, Simon raised his cup, to facing the unknown and finding meaning. The Xylarans echoed the toast, their voices steady. In that moment, they were no longer mere observers of human tradition. They were part of it. The journey back to their diplomatic quarters on Earth was quiet, each traveler lost in thought. For Kirova and Merrick, their time with Simon and his people had reshaped their understanding of human culture in profound ways. They had come seeking to unravel the mystery of humanity's penchant for cooking dangerous apex predators and found themselves transformed in the process. What had begun as a puzzling curiosity had become a journey of courage, reflection, and connection. The Xylarans were due to leave Earth in a matter of days, but Simon had one final invitation. "There's a tradition we call the Feast of Understanding," he said as they walked along a narrow trail surrounded by thick greenery. "It's not an official holiday or anything, just something we do to mark moments that matter. We come together, reflect on what we've learned, and share a meal that celebrates the journey." Kirova's glowing eyes flickered with interest. "You mean to say that the meal itself becomes a symbol of the experiences shared?" "Exactly," Simon said, smiling. "And I'd like you both to join us." The Xylarans accepted without hesitation. In the days that followed, preparations for the feast were made. The humans, guided by Simon, sought out ingredients that reflected their journey: crocodile, wild boar, shark, and a variety of local produce that added flavor and depth to the meal. Kirova and Merrick, eager to contribute, suggested incorporating Xylaran spices and cooking techniques, blending their culinary traditions with Earth's. The result was a collaborative effort unlike any they had seen, a meal that was part Earth, part Xylaran, and wholly unique. The feast took place under the open sky, with long tables set up in a lush clearing surrounded by towering trees. Lanterns hung from branches, casting a warm glow over the gathering. Humans and Xylarans sat side by side, sharing stories and laughter. The air was filled with the aroma of roasted meats, fragrant spices, and the faint tang of salt from the ocean breeze. Kirova and Merrick watched as Simon addressed the group, his voice carrying with the ease of a practiced diplomat, but with a sincerity that transcended formalities. "Tonight we celebrate more than just a meal. We celebrate the courage to step into the unknown, to face what we fear, and to forge bonds that bridge worlds." The crowd raised their glasses in a toast. To understanding, they cheered. As the feast began, Kirova took a moment to reflect. "You have shown us much, Simon Briggs," she said quietly, her gaze meeting his. "Your people's willingness to confront the dangerous, to turn fear into strength, is both perplexing and admirable." Simon inclined his head. "And you've shown us the value of seeing things through a different lens. You've reminded us that courage takes many forms, not just in facing beasts, but in challenging what we think we know." Merrick, who had been sampling a dish of shark prepared with Xylaran spices, spoke up. "There is wisdom in your chaos, Simon, but it is a wisdom tempered by respect. For that, we are grateful. They continued to eat, each dish carrying a story, a memory, a challenge faced and overcome. The crocodile meat symbolized their first taste of danger, the wild boar the strength found in facing the untamed, and the shark the courage to confront the unknown depths. Each bite reminded them of their journey, a journey that had changed them in ways they could never have predicted. As the evening wore on, the barriers between species melted away. Humans and Xylarans mingled, sharing anecdotes, recipes, and perspectives. It was a celebration not just of survival but of growth, understanding, and unity. For Kirova and Marek, the experience was more than a diplomatic success, it was a revelation. When the last of the dishes had been cleared, Simon raised his cup once more. To the challenges that lie ahead, he said, his voice strong, may we continue to learn, to face what frightens us, and to share the journey together. The Xylarans raised their cups in unison, their voices joining with those of the humans. Together. As the stars appeared overhead, Kirova and Marek knew that their journey on Earth had come to an end, but their journey of understanding was only just beginning. They would return to their people with stories of courage, connection, and the strange, beautiful tradition of turning danger into something to be shared and celebrated. When they boarded their ship the next morning, Simon was there to see them off. I hope this isn't goodbye, he said, extending his hand. Kirova clasped it firmly. It is not. We will return not just as diplomats, but as friends. Marek nodded in agreement. And perhaps next time, we will bring our own challenges. Simon's eyes sparkled with anticipation. I look forward to it. As the Xylaran ship ascended into the sky, Kirova and Marek looked back at the planet that had changed them. Earth, with its unpredictable people and their dangerous, exhilarating traditions, had left an indelible mark on their hearts. They knew they would carry the lessons learned here for the rest of their lives, a reminder that sometimes the greatest growth comes from facing the unknown, embracing the dangerous, and finding connection in the unlikeliest of places.